Hello, everyone. There's only two numbers that played for the Rangers that get me to wear blue. One had 22 and one had number four. And why that's not hanging from the rafters retired is still, we got Joe Klecko finally in where he belongs, but Ron Greschner's number not hanging from the rafters in the garden. I don't understand. Ronnie, good to see you, my friend.
You too. How is Joe Klecko doing? Is he doing good?
Yeah, he's actually, gotten better. He was close to death. He almost died from
Yeah,
that blood disease you get and all, but he's getting well. And look, you're 16 years with the Rangers. That's not going to happen anymore. Free agency, no one's ever going to play 16 years. But you have one of the rarity. He only played for one team. It's not that
I
many
know.
people
Well,
say
maybe
that.
maybe nobody else wanted me.
I wouldn't say that, Ronnie. Every time I see an all-time Ranger greats, your name is right there with them. And
Oh no, I loved it. I loved playing in New York. I loved the whole thing. I have that's why I have a hard time leaving here. I love going to the Garden. I work with them, and I have nothing but good things to say about them. They're good to me, and they have great fans. That's the
yeah,
most important thing.
I know. And you know what? Maybe we'll do before we start with the Stanley Cup. Certainly a shock of a year. No one, I don't thought after last year's season be thinking that the team would not make the playoffs and the coach be gone. But listen, you watch enough. Anybody could be Monday morning. I don't know what you call it in hockey, but what are some of the things at least that might, or what you feel might need to change in order to get back in stride for the Rangers?
Well, that old saying, it's easier to fire one guy than it is to fire 20.
Right.
That's what it comes down to. That's why coaches are hired and they're hired and fired. A lot of guys don't last a long time. I think the guy from Tampa is there a lot of years now. Most of the guys are not there that long, and it's hard. It's a tough thing. I mean, you hate to see anybody. I played with Peter back in the '80s, and great guy and everything else. But when you don't win, that's just the way. That's part of the. I guess that's part of the axing. You get axed if you don't win. You get axed if you win. They pat you on the back, and if you lose, they kick you in the ass.
Yeah, and you know what? It coincided with a unique thing happening because you remember when he was calling your game, Sam Rosen, after 40 years, finally retiring.
Yeah, Sam, Brooklyn born, just I don't know really know there's any words you can say about Sam. He's just like he's one of those guys that every time you saw him, he was cheerful. He had never a bad word about anybody. He was always like upbeat. It was just great to be around the whole time he was there. The 40 years. I mean, I've been there for 51 years, but Sam's been there for 40. And Sam is he left his stamp on the New York Ranger organization
Uh,
as a commentator.
and I understand you saw our mutual friend the other night, number 22, still kicking.
Nicky Pie Face Fatio. Yes, I did see him. I saw him. He's getting around really well. He's one tough old man. I'll tell you that. I mean, he's much older than I am because I used to watch Nicky when I was a kid and play hockey. So I know.
Listen, behind me, that picture there is one of the three best nights in my 20 years working with professional athletes. It was you, me, and him. You guys came up to Yonkers Raceway to watch the
Raceway, yeah.
horse stick for you. Came hours before the race. We went in the dining room. You guys started to drink. And the stories you guys told, which clearly, if you cannot do it these years because people have videotapes in their
Yeah.
phones and everything. If I could have taped it, I'd need to clean it up some. But Ranger fans would have paid me big money with some of the stories you guys told of your playing days.
I think back then, if there would have been cameras back in the 70s and 80s like there is today, we'd all just be getting out of jail now.
Well, it was a great night, and even though the horse Nick Fatiu came second, that picture was taken in the winner's circle.
Yeah, I
And
remember that. I had a
it
great
was
time.
the best nights I have ever had with anybody's, and of course, all the support that you gave me in our business, Ronnie, was just great. So listen, all right, Rangers. Hopefully, better times coming, but now we have the Stanley Cup in front of us.
Yeah.
And do you have any favorites you think are going to be in the
Well,
finals?
I'm kind of going to go this way this year. I'm kind of rooting for two teams that never won a cup: Winnipeg and Ottawa. or Ottawa and Minnesota. It'd be nice to see a team win a cup that hasn't won one. All the other teams have won it, but that's in my heart, But in my brain, I have Toronto, Edmonton in the finals.
Really? Now I actually picked Winnipeg. I thought Canadians were going to win it again, hopefully, and pick it. But Toronto's not a name that I've heard people talk about, Ronnie.
I don't know. It's the way they've been playing the last while. That coach they have, Berube, he was one tough man when he was playing, and he's got that team playing a solid kind of hockey, kind of a playoff hockey all the last half of the year anyway. And I think that he kind of has that respect and that command when he walks into the locker room, and they listen.
So, is there a team? Oh, you already picked one, obviously, Toronto. Is there another team that can surprise people, or is it likely?
Well, I think Colorado really built their team up, and they got probably two of the top five players in the league, and Makar and McKinnon, and but they picked up Cole from Boston, and they picked up geez, I can't remember his name now from the Islanders centerman. Also, they're gonna be surprisingly good. Like if you had to pick one team and your life depended on it, I don't think a lot of people would be alive at the end of the year.
Really, because it's wow, it's
Pretty wide open. It's pretty wide open.
pretty
I mean,
wide open.
there's five teams in the West that can win it, and I'd probably say at least three or four teams in the East.
Huh.
I think Tampa Bay is a really good team, and if they get going, their power play gets going, they're explosive. They can score goals.
Well,
So
I won't talk about one team because you stay friendly with me, even though I root for them. But I do want to ask you about another team that's not too far from the Rangers and what happened to them. Because when I remember you playing, they were the nemesis, the Islanders. But yet, what's happened to that franchise?
I don't know. I don't know if they got old, but this year they had a couple of big injuries. One of their best players was hurt all year, and it's hard to overcome that. When it's when your best player's hurt and and your goaltending is not up to par this year like it was the year before, or even a couple of years ago when they went to the semifinals a couple of years in a row. You can't overcome goaltending. The team, whichever goaltender this year, if Hellebuck and Winnipeg plays as good all year in the playoffs as he did all year, Winnipeg will win the cup. That'll come down to that. If he doesn't, and which Winnipeg has kind of faltered in the playoffs every year, but they have two of their good players are hurt too now. So it all depends on the goaltending. Goaltending wins cups. St. Louis, Billington, when he was for Canada in the Four Nations, he played goal. He was probably the best player on the ice. And overtime against the USA, he made three or four or five saves that were unbelievable, and then McDavid scored after that to win it. But he was the best player. He should have been MVP, best player, whatever you want to call him, for that tournament. And I mean, I'm born in Canada, so I kind of lean when it's Canada US. Like tomorrow it's going to be Canada US and girls World Hockey, right? The World Hockey Cup. So I watch that. I cheer for Canada because I grew up there. My roots are still there. But when it's US, anybody else, it's all US.
Well, I just want to tell the public because I can get away with saying this. The one thing you cannot talk to Greschner about is world models. So we'll just
No,
leave that out and we'll go to the next question. And the next question is Ronnie, what team people, if I talk about Nicky Fatigue, people say, oh, he was tough fight. People forgot how much you used to fight. No, but what team did you dislike playing against? I have my thoughts, but I think they're a little south of me here. But
well, I know. Well, I mean, um, well, definitely Philadelphia.
yeah, that's what I thought.
I mean, you know why birds fly upside down in Philadelphia, right?
Why?
Nothing left to dump on. And
Oh, I don't get it. So you won't be visiting any Flyer games soon. But
no, it's like no, they listen to me. They the stuff that they all worked for in the '70s and how that team was, and even in the '80s, they were the Bobby Clark and all those guys, and Schultz. Schultz is from Saskatchewan, where I grew up in Rosetown, Saskatchewan, and I didn't grow up there, but he did. But he was just amazing how they developed that team into winning, and with all the tough guys they had in that team, and they did it. Bobby Clark was a great leader with Leach and Barber and all those guys. They had Bernie Perrant in goal. Bernie Perrant got hurt in '79. They never won again. They won 74, 75 because of Bernie Perrant, the goaltending.
So, last question. What is completely different in hockey now that wasn't when you played, but you wish it was when you were playing because it might have even had given you more opportunity?
Well, I think the game today is fast. Okay, it's like me and you are older now. We're not quite as fast as we were when we were.
To say the least.
Yeah, no, and but the game is so fast today because the game is open. There's no red line, and I don't think you have to be more skilled when you get to certain parts of the game, but you have to be less skilled because you can just fire the puck from behind your net to the other blue line, and there's no making a great pass. You just they tip it in, they go after it, and they there's no hacking, no slashing, there's no nobody. It seems like nobody gets mad in the regular season. Like we against Philadelphia, against the Islanders, against the Devils, even back in the Devils came in the early '80s. there was, I mean, there was fights and brawls all the time because we didn't like each other. And but now guys train together in different. Like I never trained with anybody that was on another team that I wasn't on my, unless he was on my team that got traded from that team. I never talked to anybody from another team ever, not until after I retired. Probably took me 5 years after. And not that I hated them, I respected what they did, but I like my father said, if you have to kill somebody to play hockey, you killed them.
Well, I I'll say this again. I'm singing to the choir. Uh, I hope it doesn't take your passing before the Rangers realize that your number should be hanging from the rafter. But I want to also tell you that you're just a great guy to be around with. You know, you're one of the all-time greats, but you're just a regular guy to hang out with. You're so good around people. And if people could ever be in your company and Nick Fatio at the same time, especially at our age, it even beats sex now.
It does. But just one thing, like it, I maybe it's just because I got lucky enough to come to this area, the tri-state area, when I was 19 years old. I lived in Long Beach, Long Island, lived in Manhattan, lived in Connecticut, even lived in Jersey for a while. And it's just the people from this whole area are so nice. Like you might be an Islander fan, you might be like, okay, I like Islander fans, I like Jersey fans, but I love Ranger fans. Okay, there's a gap in there because I like that people are hockey fans. The more hockey fans, the more interesting the game is. The more people come to the games, the better for the game. And the one line that my father taught me one time when I was a kid, he goes, "No fans, no game."
Yeah.
And that why I think people have to respect the fans and you go to your way, sign an autograph. Who cares? 2 seconds, 5 seconds. If you sign, like I'll do a thing for the Garden, and there'll be 50, 100 people in line, and they go, oh, "We're going to cut it off right here." I go, "No, you can't cut it off." The other people stood in line for 20 minutes or half an hour to get an autograph. So big deal. I'll stay and sign it until they're all signed, and we'll leave.
Yeah.
It's not going to change my life, and it makes me feel good, and it makes them feel good.
Well, I think hockey fans, I guess because I feel the same way myself, I think they're more dedicated to their teams and the game itself, and not just always when things are good. You know, there have been Ranger fans. There were droughts for years, and those people stayed Ranger fans, went to every game. You still can't get tickets. Season ticket holders, been
Yeah.
passed on to
There,
families.
there are no fans. I don't think there's any fans for the Maple Leafs or the Dallas Cowboys or whatever you want. There's not more loyal fans than the New York Ranger fans. I meet them in every city I go to, every parts of Canada even. I even met someone I was in Europe. I met someone I was in Italy, years ago, and it's just amazing how they wear their little Ranger crest, they wear their little Ranger hat or whatever. They got the jacket on. Yesterday, I was driving the truck with my son, and we were driving on 287 up in Westchester, and a guy passes us on the drive on I'm in the passenger side. The guy passes us. My son goes, "Dad, the guy's got a Ranger sticker on the back of his truck." So he goes by. So I waved to him. The guy waves back. He was like, that's pretty cool. Like it's just nice that like Ranger fans. Like you said, they're very dedicated to their team, and I know they want to win bad, and I'm sure that the players that are playing want to win for them. But something seems to always get pushed in a way.
All right, Gresh.
Okay.
Thank you as always. Best wishes to the family. Have a blessed Easter.
Yes. Have a happy Easter. Don't eat any brown eggs.
No, and you, me, and that number 22 got to get together pretty soon.
That would be my pleasure.
All right, Ronnie. Be well.
Thank you.